The stars looked different through the observation deck of the United Earth Embassy. Kate Morgan stood silently, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the massive Craxus ship dock at the space station. As Earth's chief ambassador, she carried the weight of humanity's first extraterrestrial diplomatic mission on her shoulders. "They're early," said John Harrison, stepping beside her. The military intelligence officer's face revealed nothing, but Kate knew him well enough to sense his unease. "Good. Punctuality suggests respect," she replied, straightening her formal blue uniform. The Craxus had appeared in Earth's solar system 3 months ago. After initial communication challenges, they had extended an invitation for diplomatic relations. Their technology was centuries beyond humanity's, faster than light travel, energy shields, and weapons that could destroy planets. Yet they claimed to come in peace, offering knowledge in exchange for resources unique to Earth. The airlock hissed open. 4 tall, gray-skinned aliens entered. Their bodies were covered in natural plate-like armor, with prominent crests on their heads indicating rank according to the briefing materials. The tallest Craxus stepped forward. "Ambassador Morgan," it said through a translation device. "I am Supreme Envoy Zorax. The glorious Craxus Empire welcomes Earth to the galactic community." Kate extended her hand, which Zorax stared at before, reluctantly touching with a 3-fingered hand. "Supreme Envoy, Earth welcomes this historic opportunity for friendship between our peoples," Kate said. The initial meeting proceeded smoothly as they discussed basic trade terms. However, Kate noticed how Zorax and his subordinates directed their responses to John and the other male staff, often ignoring her questions entirely. Later that week, Lieutenant Susan Wright arrived at Kate's office with a troubled expression. The young intelligence analyst set a datapad on the desk. "Ambassador, we've decoded additional Craxus transmissions," Susan said. "They don't match their public statements." Kate reviewed the translations. According to the intercepts, the Craxus had approached 12 other species in the past century. In each case, they established trade, infiltrated key positions, then ultimately conquered the planets. "Have you shown this to Harrison?" Kate asked. Susan nodded. "He's investigating further but wanted you informed immediately." 2 days later, Admiral Mary Collins arrived from Earth for the technology exchange negotiations. The Admiral's presence clearly agitated the Craxus representatives. During the meeting, Zorax presented terms that would give the Craxus unrestricted access to Earth's water reserves, while providing only limited technological insights in return. "These terms are unacceptable," Admiral Collins stated firmly. "Earth offers fair exchange or none at all." Zorax's neck plates flared in apparent anger. "You allow a female to speak for your military?" The room fell silent. Admiral Collins speaks. "With the full authority of Earth's Unified Defense Force," Kate said carefully. "A disturbing oversight in your social structure," Zorax replied. "In the natural order, females serve supporting roles. Your deviation is concerning." Admiral Collins leaned forward. "My gender has no bearing on these negotiations, Supreme Envoy." The meeting ended shortly after, with Zorax requesting time to reconsider Earth's position. That evening, Zorax requested a private meeting with John Harrison. Kate insisted on attending, despite the aliens' objections. "Your people disrespect natural order," Zorax said once they were alone. "Throughout the civilized galaxy, leadership roles belong to males. Females who attempt to command create cosmic imbalance." "Earth values ability over gender," John replied stiffly. Zorax's translator produced something like a laugh. "A primitive perspective. The Craxus Empire has brought proper order to many worlds. We hoped Earth would accept guidance willingly." T felt a chill at his words. "Are you threatening Earth, Supreme Envoy?" "Not threatening. Promising enlightenment," Zorax answered. "Review our proposals again. Wise species accept Craxus protection. The alternatives have proven unfortunate." As they left, John whispered to Kate, "We need to alert Earth immediately." Kate nodded, her mind racing. First contact was rapidly becoming first conflict, and she feared they had very little time to prepare. Dr. Elizabeth Campbell watched the stars through the viewport of Proxima Station. The research outpost orbited Proxima Centauri, humanity's closest stellar neighbor beyond the Sun. 6 months had passed since first contact with the Craxus Empire, and tension grew with each passing day. "Another message from Earth," said Captain Alan Reeves, handing her a data tablet. "They want progress reports twice daily now." Elizabeth sighed. As lead scientist on the joint Human-Craxus research project, her days were filled with frustration. The aliens shared minimal technology while constantly demanding access to Earth's scientific databases. "I'll respond after the next meeting," she said. "Have the Craxus representatives arrived yet?" "They're in Lab 3, and they're not happy about taking instructions from you." Again, Elizabeth straightened her lab coat. "Their problem, not mine." The Proxima Station project had been established as a gesture of goodwill after the tense diplomatic meetings. Humans would share biological and geological samples from Earth, while the Craxus would demonstrate faster-than-light drive technology. At least that was the plan. In Lab 3, 4 Craxus scientists waited. Their tall gray bodies stiffened when Elizabeth entered. Grell, the lead Craxus researcher, turned his armored back toward her. "We require additional mineral samples," Grell stated without looking at her. "The ones provided are insufficient." "We've supplied exactly what was agreed upon," Elizabeth replied. "Meanwhile, your team hasn't shared any functional schematics for the quantum communication array." Grell's neck plates flared. "The agreement specified information exchange at our discretion. Your female limitations prevent understanding of advanced concepts." The room grew quiet. The 3 human scientists behind Elizabeth shifted uncomfortably. "My female limitations include 3 doctoral degrees and 15 years of quantum physics research," Elizabeth said firmly. "Your team has taken far more than you've shared. This arrangement cannot continue." Later that day, Elizabeth met with her research team in a secure room swept for listening devices. She displayed data on a screen. "Look at their access logs. They've downloaded terabytes on Earth's ecosystem, genetic diversity, and military capabilities. What they've shared in return is superficial, with critical components missing." Young researcher Ben Powell shook his head. "Classic information, gathering before conquest. Just like Ambassador Morgan warned." "I've compared notes with their previous files," Elizabeth continued. "The Craxus did this same dance with the Centauri system before annexing it 50 years ago." Captain Reeves frowned. "We should shut down the project. Earth wants concrete proof before risking diplomatic breakdown," Elizabeth said. "I'll confront Grell tomorrow." That night, alarms blared throughout the station. Elizabeth rushed from her quarters to the command center where Captain Reeves was watching a holographic display showing a massive Craxus warship approaching. "No warning, no communication," Reeves said. "They just appeared from hyperspace." "Captain," called a communications officer. "They're broadcasting a message to Earth. They're letting us hear it too." A large Craxus commander appeared on screen. His ornate armor and extended head crest marked him as high-ranking. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Drakath. Your experiment in disorder ends now. The natural balance requires correction." Elizabeth felt her blood run cold as Drakath continued. "Your females in positions of authority violate galactic order. This abomination cannot be permitted to spread. You will remove all females from government, military, and scientific leadership immediately." Captain Reeves opened a channel. "This is Captain Alan Reeves of Earth. You have no authority." The transmission cut as the station shook violently. Warning lights flashed as emergency bulkheads sealed. "They've locked onto us with tractor beams," shouted the tactical officer. "We're being boarded." Armed Craxus soldiers poured through the airlock. Within minutes, they controlled the station. Elizabeth and the other humans were herded into the main hall where Commander Drakath waited. "Captain Reeves, your station is now under Imperial control," Drakath announced. "Your people will be held until Earth complies with our demands." His gaze fell on Elizabeth. "Especially these females who corrupt natural order with their pretense of authority." Elizabeth stepped forward despite Reeves trying to hold her back. "You planned this from the beginning." Drakath's mouth formed what might have been a smile. The Craxus Empire has cleansed the galaxy of such imbalance for 10,000 years. Earth will learn its place, one way or another. Lieutenant Alice Miller pressed herself against the cold metal wall of the Craxus prison ship. 6 months had passed since the war began, and the aliens now controlled most of Earth's outer solar system. Her breathing came in short gasps as she listened for the heavy footsteps of the guards. The small data chip felt warm in her palm. It contained files she had stolen from the ship's computer while working as a forced laborer in the command section. If she could get this information, to Earth it might change the course of the war. Alice counted to 10, then sprinted down the corridor toward the escape pod bay. An alarm blared suddenly. She had been discovered. With one final burst of speed, she reached the bay, sealed the door behind her, and launched an escape pod toward Mars. On the red planet's surface, Paul Davis watched the small pod crash land, 2 miles from his hidden outpost. The former mining engineer now led the resistance on occupied Mars. He gathered his team and set out across the dusty landscape in pressurized rovers. "It's an Earth escape pod," he said through his comm system, as they approached the crash site. Someone got away from them. They found Alice unconscious but alive. Back at the outpost, hidden deep within an abandoned mining complex, she awoke with a start. "The data chip," she gasped. "I have information about the Craxus." Paul nodded. "You're safe. We've secured it." Once recovered, Alice shared her discovery with the resistance leaders. "The Craxus Empire has done this before," she explained. "They've conquered 17 species in the last century alone. Each time, they target worlds that allow gender equality. The files revealed the brutal history of the Craxus. They saw themselves as galactic cleaners, forcing their strict gender hierarchy on every civilization they encountered. There's more," Alice continued. "They have prison worlds where they keep those who resist, millions of beings from dozens of species, and their communication system has a flaw. Earth's resistance network grew stronger each day. Hidden terminals across occupied territories connected survivors who shared information and coordinated strikes against Craxus forces. Lisa Chen, a young engineer who had escaped the fall of Phobos Station, had created stealth technology that allowed small ships to avoid Craxus detection. Using her devices, resistance fighters could move between planets unseen. Their ships rely on a centralized communication network, Lisa explained during a resistance meeting. Each command comes from higher-ranked officers and must be acknowledged before action is taken. Paul nodded thoughtfully. "So if we disrupt their communication chain, their entire fleet would be paralyzed," Alice finished. "At least temporarily." The resistance planned carefully. Small teams would target relay stations throughout the solar system, striking simultaneously to create maximum confusion among Craxus forces. During a supply run, Paul's team encountered something unexpected, a non-human prisoner escaping from a Craxus transport. The being called itself Kiri and came from a species called the Naari. Through a hastily constructed translation device, Kiri revealed that the Naari had been fighting the Craxus for generations. Their homeworld had been conquered 50 years earlier. "Many worlds resist," Kiri told them. "Not just humans fight. All who Craxus hurt can join together." Alice studied the aliens' communication device. "This technology is different from Craxus systems. It might be able to bypass their security." With Kiri's help, the Resistance established contact with other alien resistance fighters scattered across Craxus territory. Each species had developed different methods to fight their oppressors, and by sharing knowledge, they became stronger. Tier 1. Coordinated attack on Craxus communication relays came 3 weeks later. Across the solar system, small teams planted explosives on relay stations. When they detonated, the Craxus command structure fell into chaos. From her listening post on Io, Alice intercepted panicked Craxus communications. Without clear orders, ship captains argued among themselves about how to respond. Some abandoned their posts, others fired on friendly vessels by mistake. "It worked," she whispered. Watching through a telescope as Craxus ships collided near Jupiter, she activated her secure channel to Earth. "This is Lieutenant Miller to Earth Command. Phase 1 complete. The Craxus are vulnerable. Ready for Phase 2. General Peterson's voice came through clearly. Well done, Lieutenant. The Valkyries are launching now. Admiral Mary Collins studied the strange collection of beings gathered in the secure meeting room. After 14 months of war, this secret gathering represented humanity's greatest hope for victory against the Craxus Empire. 7 alien species had sent representatives to this hidden base on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Each species had suffered under Craxus rule. Each had fought back in their own way. Now, they sought alliance with humanity. The Craxus believe they are bringing order to a chaotic galaxy, said Klon, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms. His species, the Volari, had been fighting the Craxus for over a century. They cannot accept any society where females hold power. Rick Gordon, Earth's diplomatic corps officer, nodded. We've learned this lesson the hard way. Your Valkyrie. Warriors have given hope to all who resist, said another alien, a reptilian female named Sith. On my world, the Craxus executed any female who showed leadership traits. For generations, we hid our abilities. Admiral Collins moved to the center of the room. The Craxus are powerful because they attack isolated worlds one by one. Together, we can change that equation. The meeting lasted 3 days. Each species brought unique insights and technologies to the Alliance. The insectoid Zelti had developed weapons that disrupted Craxus ship engines. The crystalline Phosians could communicate across vast distances without using detectable signals. The aquatic marines had mapped secret Craxus supply routes throughout the galaxy. On the final day, the Alliance of Free Worlds was formally established. Admiral Collins signed for Earth alongside representatives from all 7 alien species. This day will be remembered, said Klon, placing all 4 hands on the document. The beginning of the end for Craxus tyranny. Rick Gordon worked tirelessly to coordinate between species with vastly different customs and languages. His diplomatic skills proved essential as he helped negotiate the complex alliance agreements. The Volari will provide advanced shield technology, he explained during a briefing with Earth's military command. The Zelti have offered their disruption cannons. Every species brings something unique. General Peterson saw the potential immediately. And the Valkyrie program? They're fascinated by it, Rick replied. Several species want to create their own versions. The psychological impact on Craxus troops has been even greater than we anticipated. Within weeks, female warriors from multiple species formed elite strike teams similar to the Valkyries. Training bases were established throughout Alliance territory, with Earth's Valkyries serving as instructors. Intelligence sharing revealed valuable targets across Craxus space. The Alliance identified major supply depots, command centers, and shipyards that could be attacked. Most importantly, they discovered that the Craxus Emperor rarely left the homeworld, making the Empire's command structure vulnerable to disruption. Captain Sandra Phillips, now a commander, led the first joint species mission, a surgical strike, against a major Craxus resupply station near Alpha Centauri. Her team included warriors from Earth, Volari, and Zelti. Strange to fight alongside aliens, her second-in-command whispered as they approached the target. Sandra shook her head, no stranger than the Craxus thinking women can't fight. The mission succeeded beyond expectations. Not only did they destroy the station, but they also captured a Craxus command ship intact. The intelligence value was enormous. Back at the Alliance headquarters, Admiral Collins reviewed reports from across Craxus space. Coordinated attacks had destroyed 27 supply depots and 16 command posts in a single day. For the first time, the Craxus were on the defensive. They never expected this level of cooperation, she told the Alliance Council. Their entire strategy depends on keeping species isolated and afraid. Sith, the reptilian representative, displayed a star chart showing Craxus territory. They have withdrawn forces from these outer systems to protect their core worlds. Their fear grows. News of Alliance victories spread through resistance networks on occupied planets. Uprisings began on worlds that had been under Craxus control for generations. The empire that had seemed invincible was beginning to crack. In her private quarters, Admiral Collins studied the latest intelligence reports. A major Craxus fleet had been deployed to crush the Alliance. The coming battle would be the largest. Yet, they're afraid, she said to herself. And they should be. 3 years into the war, Commander Nicole Harris stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, the USS Intrepid. The massive warship led a fleet of over 500 vessels from 12 allied species. Their target, the Craxus core worlds. All ships, report ready, Commander, said her first officer. Jump coordinates locked. Nicole nodded. She had earned command of the Intrepid after leading successful campaigns across 20 star systems. Now came the most dangerous mission yet, pushing directly toward the Craxus homeworld. Signal the fleet, she ordered. Jump in 3 minutes. The Alliance had grown stronger each month. Worlds that had suffered under Craxus rule for centuries now fought alongside humans. Technologies were shared, strategies combined. What began as resistance had become a liberation force. The fleet jumped simultaneously, emerging near the Vega system. Once a free world, Vega had been the first conquest of the Craxus expansion 300 years ago. Craxus defenses detected, reported Lieutenant Frank Wilson, the tactical officer. They're scrambling to respond. Frank had developed new battle strategies that exploited the rigid Craxus command structure. They still can't adapt quickly, he observed. Their ships are waiting for orders from higher ranks. The battle for Vega lasted just 6 hours. The Craxus defenders, confused by attacks coming from multiple directions at once, broke formation and retreated. For the first time, an occupied world was liberated. Planet after planet fell to the Alliance fleet as they pushed toward Craxus territory. Some worlds surrendered without fighting when they saw the Alliance included females in command positions, a direct challenge to everything the Craxus had enforced. On the 7th liberated world, Alliance forces discovered something horrific: massive processing centers, where women from conquered species were systematically executed if they showed leadership abilities. Nicole walked through the abandoned facility, her face grim behind her helmet visor. Record everything, she told her team. The galaxy needs to see what the Craxus truly are. The images were shared across all allied worlds and through resistance networks on occupied planets. Public support for the war reached new heights as these atrocities were revealed. Recruitment for the Alliance forces doubled overnight. During the campaign's 3rd month, the Alliance fleet approached the Craxus border defenses. These massive battle stations had protected the Empire's core systems for thousands of years. Their defenses are strongest here, Nicole told her officers during the planning session. No enemy has ever breached this line. Frank projected a tactical display. I've identified a weakness. The stations communicate through a central hub. If we can disable it, the entire network will be vulnerable. The mission to attack the hub fell to a special forces team led by Captain Sandra Phillips. Her Valkyrie unit had been expanded to include female warriors from every Alliance species. The Craxus still don't understand what they're facing, Sandra told her team as their stealth ship approached the target. Their greatest weakness is their belief in our weakness. The attack succeeded, but at great cost. 3 Valkyrie warriors died disabling the hub. When the defense network failed, the Alliance fleet surged forward into Craxus space. For the first time in their 1,000-year history, the Craxus faced an enemy on their own territory. Their response was desperate and brutal. Suicide ships rammed Alliance vessels. Planets were scorched to deny resources. Yet the Alliance kept advancing. Intercepted communications revealed growing panic among Craxus leadership. Some colonial governors began surrendering rather than face Alliance forces. Others turned against the central government, blaming the Emperor for the disasters befalling their once invincible empire. Most surprising was the discovery of resistance movements on Craxus-controlled worlds. For generations, these groups had worked in secret, waiting for an opportunity to overthrow their oppressors. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Nicole received an unexpected message. A faction within the Craxus military had mutinied. Led by a commander who had seen too many defeats, they offered to provide the codes to bypass the defenses of the Craxus home system. It could be a trap, her security officer warned. Nicole studied the message carefully. Or it could be the key to ending this war. Verify the codes but prepare the fleet either way. We're going to the Craxus homeworld. The Craxus home system blazed with weapons fire. 5 days had passed since the Alliance fleet arrived and the final battle of the war raged across the entire system. Commander Nicole Harris watched from the bridge of the USS Intrepid as Alliance ships engaged the last of the Craxus defense fleet. Their central command is sending confused orders, reported Lieutenant Wilson. The defectors' codes worked. Their communications are in chaos. Nicole nodded. Launch the ground assault teams. It's time to end this. Captain Sandra Phillips led the Valkyrie Special Forces toward the Craxus homeworld. Her team included elite female warriors from every allied species. Their target, the Imperial Palace where Emperor Drakath commanded his forces. Remember why? We fight, Sandra told her team as their dropships entered the atmosphere. For Dr. Campbell. For all those executed. For a galaxy where no one is killed for their gender. The palace stood on a massive hill overlooking the Craxus capital city. Its black stone walls had never been breached in 10,000 years of Craxus history, but they had never faced the Valkyrie forces before. The battle through the city streets was fierce. Craxus soldiers fought desperately to protect their emperor. Yet with each street they lost, more Craxus citizens saw what they had been told was impossible. Females from many species fighting with skill and courage that matched or exceeded their own warriors. Sandra's team reached the palace walls as night fell. Using technology from the Phosian allies, they passed through the solid walls as if they were mist. Inside, they split into small teams, fighting their way toward the throne room. In orbit above, the Intrepid targeted key military installations across the planet. Nicole ensured civilian areas were avoided. The Alliance would not repeat the mistakes of the Craxus. Commander, called her communications officer. Captain Phillips reports they've reached the inner palace. The throne room doors fell with a thunderous crash. Sandra led her warriors in, weapons ready. Emperor Drakath sat on his massive throne, surrounded by his high command. His face showed shock at seeing female warriors in his sacred chamber. Impossible, he growled, rising to his full height. Females cannot fight. This violates natural order. Sandra removed her helmet, facing him directly. Your natural order was always a lie. Your empire ends today. The Emperor reached for a weapon but found himself surrounded by Valkyrie warriors. For the first time in his long life, fear showed in his eyes. You are defeated, Sandra said simply. Order your forces to surrender. 2 hours later, Emperor Drakath stood in chains on the palace steps as Alliance ships landed in the capital city. Nicole Harris descended from the Intrepid to accept the formal surrender. By order of the Alliance of Free Worlds, the Craxus Empire is dissolved, she announced. All occupied worlds are freed. All prisoners will be released. The Emperor was forced to watch as the Alliance opened massive prison camps across the planet. Thousands of females from dozens of species emerged, many imprisoned for generations simply for showing leadership abilities. 1 week later, representatives from all Alliance worlds gathered for the peace ceremony. President Grant and General Peterson arrived from Earth to establish terms that included reparations and complete demilitarization of the Craxus. The cycle of oppression ends today, President Grant declared. No species shall rule over another. No person shall be judged by their gender. Ambassador Kate Morgan, who had first met the Craxus years earlier, led the creation of a new galactic constitution. The document guaranteed equal rights to all beings regardless of species, gender, or origin. We will build a galaxy where Dr. Campbell's sacrifice is remembered, she said at the signing ceremony, where no one faces execution for who they are. 1 year later, a memorial orbited Earth. It bore the names of all who had died in the war, beginning with the 6 scientists executed at Proxima Station. Ships from across the galaxy came to pay respects. In the newly established Galactic Academy, on Earth, young cadets from over 30 species trained together. Among them were Craxus youth, learning a different way to view the universe. Commander Harris, now Admiral, watched the diverse group of cadets with satisfaction. Was it worth it? Asked a voice beside her. She turned to find Sandra Phillips, now a training instructor. Look at them, Nicole replied. Female and male cadets from across the galaxy, learning together as equals. Yes, it was worth it. Sandra nodded. The Craxus thought executing women would make us submit. Instead, Nicole said quietly, it sparked a revolution that freed the galaxy.